And do you see over, by the 2-year mark, by the 5-year mark, is there a point when it gets easier in general?
Well, unfortunately, 60 to 75% of second marriages end in divorce, much more than first marriages.
What's the first marriage?
50%.
50%, okay.
And most of those divorces will occur in the first 3 years.
Okay.
So it's...
If you make it to year 3.
If you make it to year 3, right, things can start getting easier, but not necessarily in terms of the relationship with your stepchild, just more in terms of understanding how to have better conversations with a husband, or learning about becoming more empowered.
Right, so not letting that stepchild destroy your marriage.
It's not the stepchild, actually. It's more about the husband or the ex-wife.
Oh.
Stepchildren really aren't the problem for stepmothers. It's much more that husbands they want to be playmates to their kids rather than parents. And they feel so guilty that they don't want to traumatize their kids again, so they don't want to actually exercise any authority. Or they're afraid if they discipline their kids, they're going to alienate them.
Would they turn around and say, I'm going to go and live with mom?
Right.
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 Okay.
That's what they're afraid of. So I think the problem for stepmothers can be a stepchild, but generally it's the husband and the ex-wife.
Oh, so that's actually a good tip. That's a good place to start. So do you have chapters that deal with that, specifically the husband, and then how do you deal with an ex-wife who's being difficult?
Well, there are learning how to maintain boundaries.
Okay, meaning what?
Well, sometimes ex-wives really want to be divorced from their ex-husbands, but they still want him to be a super or handyman, or if they say jump, he says how high. So there has to be maybe some guidelines about how often an ex-wife can call the house.
Okay.
And that the husband doesn't have to answer the phone at dinner time. It's okay to let it go to voicemail.
Even though presumably he's going to feel badly or may feel badly if he doesn't. Yeah.
And again, these transgressions aren't just for bio moms. Everyone can do them. So I think my book is helpful if you have a parent who can call you 10 million times a day.
Right.
Or a neighbor.
Yes. Yes. So protecting that space that's yours. Yes, that's interesting. And is it the case, did you come across any stories where the situation was really terrible and it got turned around?
I think oftentimes all it takes is a little tweaking.
Oh?
I think because I think all the men, I work with couples, and I've worked with a lot of stepmothers and their husbands. These are really nice guys. They may be a little bit ineffectual in terms of their parenting, and they may feel that they're between a rock and a hard place and they're powerless, but they're really decent, lovely men. And the stepmothers are really wonderful women. So I think if they changing their insight, giving them different tools, and making them realize that step families cannot be the same as a family of origin, changing their expectations.
Oh, right. Yes.
I think it can do a world of wonders.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. And what tips would you give stepmothers who are having, or any parent who's having a difficult time in terms of daily relaxation? What are some practical steps they can take?
Well, I think meditation is wonderful, and there are a lot of, you just have to Google to find out how to do it. Yoga, self-hypnosis, which is also basically a form of relaxation with a guiding your unconscious to help you in a certain way. Right. Those really help. I think what's also important is focusing on the positive rather than the negative. So writing 3 daily gratitude things.
Yes,
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. No, I know what you mean. Writing 3 things you're grateful for.
Right,
Yeah.
writing down a gratitude list every day really, really helps.
Which you can do if you've given up your expectation. It's when you're tied into that rock firm idea of what it has to be like. That's, for anything, that's hard.
Right. So, and I do think that when people get upset, they really have a hard time switching to something else. But if you can switch to something positive, and whether it's even phoning a friend or reading a book,
Yes, something that you enjoy.
it can change a perspective. It can actually make you think about, okay, this is bad, but there's some other really nice things going on in my life.
Okay, that's interesting. Did you go the traditional route? You went to an agent and then
Yes.
tell us a bit about that.
I had sent out lots of queries to agents, and I was about to self-publish. And then the woman I used as an editor actually recommended me to an agent who had been her editor when she wrote a book. So I found an agent at the last minute, and she got me a book deal.
Okay, and tell us a bit about the publishing house and marketing, how that worked.
Well, it's with Harlequin Nonfiction, and I guess when my book was published in May of 2010, they were relatively new. I got a lot of attention.
Good.
I think I have the most wonderful editor.
Now, what's her name?
Sarah Peltz. She is really just terrific.
Okay, shout out to Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. And everyone there was just really nice and very helpful.
Okay, and did they give you much marketing? What happened there?
Rather than going on a book tour, which they felt isn't so good for nonfiction books, I did an online campaign.
Okay, and was that over a period of weeks or?
2 months.
2 months, okay.
And I wrote lots of little articles for the Huffington Post and BeliefNet and other online sites, and did some online interviews.
Okay. Are you still writing for the Huffington Post?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. And are you on Facebook and Twitter?
Facebook.
No Twitter.
No Twitter.
No.
Actually, I have an account, but I've never used it.
Okay. Okay. So, do you interact with clients on Facebook? What's the purpose of it for you?
I think to tell them about upcoming events. I think I'm probably a little bit slow in terms of embracing Facebook, but I do really love being online.
Do you?
I do think that has an outreach to people all over the world.
Yes.
And I have done coaching sessions with people in Australia, 14-hour time difference.
Wow.
Okay. Canada, England. So that is amazing to me that I can actually help stepmothers all over the world.
Yeah, that's fabulous. How did they find you?
From, I would say, Googling stepmothers needing help or stepmother problems.
Okay.
Somehow Googling me, coming up with steps for stepmothers, or The Happy Stepmother is also a website, and then reading about me.
And that pops up. And so what percentage of your client base is stepmothering, or stepmothers per se?
Oh, maybe 15%.
15%.
Mostly I work with individuals and couples.
Okay. And do they stay with you, those people, do they stay with you for long, or do they also come in and out?
In my psychotherapy practice, I think people stay with me for a while because there needs to be a consistency to really accomplish anything.
Okay.
So it's a collaboration, and I think there's a willingness for both of us to really help the person. So I think in psychotherapy and in couples therapy, it's for a period of time. In terms of coaching, it can be 1 or 2 or 5 sessions, and then stepmothers can call me back. And I've actually worked with couples also.
Okay.
Stepmothers and their partners doing coaching.
Oh, that's interesting. does the experience of writing the book, did that feed into your practice? Did it change it in any way? Or was it simply a case of getting the material down and then you were finished with it?
I think it made me more empathetic for for long-term projects, and the need for perseverance, and just to have some trust that even if you drop something for a period of time, you can go back to it and actually complete it.
Right. And did you ever have any cases where you felt you couldn't help someone?
I think sometimes, of course, there are times I don't feel necessarily a great connection with someone. I think it's more that that someone might feel I can't help them because I might not be able to relate to what they're going through.
Okay. And will you write another book?
I am. It took me a while to feel like I had something else to say, but I'm writing a book for couples and step families. I am just horrified how many divorces exist in this country and how people just seem so complacent about it. And it doesn't seem so it's not so hard actually to get a marriage back on track. So I actually am writing a book for couples in second marriages.
So tell us a bit more about that when you say it's not so hard to get a marriage back on track.
Well, what happens to, I think, couples in second marriages is that the stepmother, let's say, will basically say a couple of words. She will be upset about something, and then it's off to the races. You know, the husband gets defensive, he turns it around, you know, she gets upset, and they're unable to talk about a topic calmly.
Right, right.
So I think learning how to communicate real and controlling for women their voices and really making sure that they're focused on a goal rather than just expressing emotion can really be helpful.
Right. We actually have a rule that if we're angry, we don't say anything. You'll probably tell me afterwards if I'm really doing this the wrong way. And then in the morning, my husband just has to apologize.
So you never talk about it?
No, well, we do, but you know, so much is about just you're tired, you're fed up, and it's not always really about that particular issue.
That's right.
So generally the next morning, you know, a lot of it's disappeared. I just throw that bit in, just in case he forgets to be in the habit of apologizing.
My husband and I have a rule not to bring up anything sensitive after 10 o'clock at night.
That's late. Yeah, I would make it 6 o'clock. For me, yes.
Well, it depends what time you go to sleep, I guess,
Yes.
Right?
Well, 9 o'clock is a good time. I like to be in bed by 9.
Oh, okay. So you don't go to bed till like 11:30.
So 10 o'clock is, you know, I would say you're late.
But I do think couples do end up bringing up sensitive topics late at night, and then they get angry at each other, and they're up all night. And then this is my favorite expression in the world. The difference between hope and despair is a good night's sleep.
Okay.
Right? So they're sleep deprived and then miserable the next day.
Okay, yes. And also writing about things I find really, really helpful.
It takes the emotion out of it.
Yes, it takes the sting out of it, and then you can achieve something. Yes. Do you practice that in your practice at all? Do you have people write?
Writing, yes.
Yeah. So that's part of it.
I give homework assignments.
Do you?
Oh, yes. Because
Do you grade them?
No. But I do. One of the nice things about therapy is that people think, oh my God, I'm coming to see Rachelle in 2 days. I better do my homework. So it keeps people on track.
Yeah. Do you think people tell you the truth?
They better, because otherwise they're wasting their money.
I know, but isn't it like going to the doctor where they ask you, I mean, I don't smoke. I did once a long, long time ago, but I don't think I would have admitted how many I would have been like, well, just 1 or 2.
I think initially when someone comes for a first session with anyone, they're afraid of being judged, and they may totally be measured in what they're disclosing. But over time, when they get comfortable, if they're not going to be honest, what a waste of time and money for them.
Yes.
So I actually think they know that.
Yes. And do you have to be careful about the level of honesty you give back to them? Is that a tricky thing?
Not really, because I think that's all I have to really offer is my integrity. I'm not giving them anything else other than honest feedback. So, I mean, I certainly don't want to be mean and cruel, but there are times I have to say things that may be upsetting.
Right, right. And has that ever, can you remember off the top of your head a time when that happened? Was that, or does it usually just sort of go on?
Well,
Tell us.
I do remember a time I worked with a woman who went out with a guy who broke up with her when things were really good. He broke up with her when, you know, she expected a ring, right? One time, so he broke up with her 3 times, and the last time was on the day after Valentine's Day. And I just thought, oh my God, he has such commitment issues. And then several months later, she told me she ran into him in the train station and that she was going to go out with him again. And I said, are you out of your mind? And
That was honest.
Yes, that was honest. I was a little shocked
That popped
that
out.
that came out of my mouth. And she was shocked.
Yes.
And then she started laughing.
Oh my God. Right. The thing that your best friend perhaps wouldn't tell you.
Right.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's great.
But that is, it's not generally that dramatic.
No. That's interesting. And the title of your next book?
I don't know.
Don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
Okay, so sign up on Rachelle's website if you would like to know when the next one is coming out. And
It won't be for a while.
It won't be for a while. And the content is going to be completely different.
Completely
from
different.
The Happy Stepmother. Yes. Okay. So, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time today. Thanks for coming by. This is the end of our second series, and we hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.